Delighted to say we've got Steve Gill here to join us. He's a former advisor to the Clinton and Bush administrations. Good afternoon to you, Steve.
Hey, Julie, good to be back with you.
Sorry we didn't get so much of that clip, but I'm sure you were watching it. You know what was said. It was, I mean, it was kind of evidence from Joe Biden of why he had to stand down, wasn't it? Because he didn't seem to be there was not much energy. He looked very old. He's been recovering from COVID. But what I thought was most interesting about what he had to say was he said his achievements merited a second term in office, but then he claimed he was putting the country ahead of his personal ambition. And people are being rather, hagiographic reviews of this man putting himself, the country ahead of him. Actually, he was dragged kicking and screaming out of the presidency, wasn't he?
Yeah, you've got a lot of his activist supporters claiming that he has passed the torch. No, they grabbed it out of his hands, beat him with it, and handed it to Kamala Harris without having a single vote. This is a woman who has never had a vote for her for president of the United States, even when she was running and never got a vote before she dropped off 4 years ago. And now they've literally grabbed the torch from him, handed it to her, and are trying to pretend that it's some sort of heroic act by him. Keep in mind, last night he went back to the makeup that makes him look like Donald Trump, kind of the orange makeup. He has a droopy side of his face. It's clear he's had some sort of a stroke. He was speaking slowly, did not address the health issues at all. He was going to give the explanation of why he stepped aside.
That's what's really showing. We've got the clip back now, so let's play the clip for people who didn't get to see it. But let's hear what Biden had to say.
In recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
I mean, Steve Gill, given that he was reading an autocue and something he could have practiced many times, and he's sitting down and his family are there, we know from photographs in the Oval Office, it was still quite a halting delivery, wasn't it? It really did show this man. I mean, of course he's not fit to run for the presidency for a second term. Big question marks about whether he's fit to be president until next January.
He's not, and it is a danger to the U.S. and the world that his word salads, his incapacity is so obvious and evident. Here's what's really weird, though, Julia. And again, the guy is touting, I've been transparent from the beginning. This has been the biggest lying administration in history. Yeah. And very smart internet observers noticed they honed in on his watch. His watch was about an hour and a half from the actual time of the live speech. They taped this, pretended it was live, and this was the best version they could get after taping it repeatedly. He's still making mistakes, but they honed in. His watch was about an hour and a half different than the live speech.
Wow, no, that is a very interesting point. I hadn't realised that. Well, look, very much in contrast, obviously you've got Kamala Harris just sort of giggling insanely at every single thing, basically this breath of fresh air. Everyone's suddenly talking about her like she's this sort of great, great hope for the country, even though, of course, we know that the Biden administration realised they'd gone on to a loser as soon as they had her on the ticket, and the public did not like her. She wasn't a vote winner in 2020, and they basically sidelined her as much as they could during the last 4 years, and were even trying to get someone else on the ticket this time round, but then realised they couldn't dump her because for the same reason they chose her, she's a black woman, same reason they couldn't dump her, because she's a black woman, because if you have a diversity hire, you put yourself in that bind, and that's what's so absurd. But Donald Trump, there's no doubt, he's moved on from Biden. It's all about Kamala now. Donald Trump was speaking at a rally yesterday, and here's what he had to say about his new contender for the top office.
If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House times 10. There's never been a lunatic like this in the White House, and we've had some bad ones. So now we have a new victim to defeat. Lion Kamala Harris, Lion, L-Y-I-N apostrophe. The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history. Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country in a year.
He's gone straight in there, Steve Gill, hasn't he? She's a liar, she's an extremist, she's radical, she's left-wing. I mean, she has been lying about the health of the president. She is an extremist on things like Black Lives Matter, trans, net zero, all of that stuff. And he's got a bang to rights on that.
Well, then you've got the media already covering up for her. There was a couple of media outlets that ranked her the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate when she served there. They've now scrubbed that. She was appointed as the border czar. They're now going back and editing their stories a few years later. And she was in charge of the border, and it's been an abject disaster. The media is trying to go back and recreate history to cover for her. And as you point out, she's been lying about Joe Biden's health for the last year or more, and we're supposed to trust anything she says.
As have
and
most
they're pulling
of the media.
up great clips.
Yeah, it is
They're pulling up great clips.
Yeah, the partisan media in America is absolutely shocking. Whether it's on the right or on the left, it's absolutely shocking. There is no source. Whenever I look at things, I go, right, I'm going to have to go and see what CNN think and Fox News think, and see the truth will probably be somewhere in the middle.
But the truth is what comes out of her own mouth. There's a video of her talking about our great alliance with North Korea.
Yeah.
North Korea?
Yeah.
I mean, this woman is not capable of doing the job, and Democrats didn't have a choice because they're trying to save the money that had been raised, pay it to her from the Biden administration. Now, the Trump administration is challenging that speech as saying, look, that was a political speech, has no business coming out of the Oval Office, and we demand equal time. They're trying to transfer these funds illegally, and they've now found that all this talk about her raising $81 million in the last few days, they've got this Act Blue organization that has been claiming that they've got all these thousands of donations, when in reality, some of the people that made the donations are like 77-year-old women who've supposedly donated $830,000 in $35 increments over the last 20 years. This is the next big scandal of hiding the money, laundering the money to support the Democratic Party.
Fascinating. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of dodgy dealings on the Republican side. American politics is as dirty as they come. It really is. Steve Gill, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much, former advisor to Clinton and Bush administrations.